On the news tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari, King Mohammed V decries spate of terrorism in Africa. In business, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo advocates economic diversification in Africa. And on the foreign scene, Qatar government sues United Arab Emirates over claims of human rights violation. Hello there, and many thanks for joining us on Superscreen News at 8, broadcasting to you live from Lagos. I'm Adenike Owoye Ajiboye. President Muhammadu Buhari and the King of Morocco, King Mohammed, have raised concerns about violent extremism, terrorism, and other security challenges facing Africa. The heads have therefore agreed to collaborate in order to combat radicalization on the continent and beyond. These were contained in a joint communique made available by the presidency at the end of President Buhari's two-day official visit to Morocco. The communique said King Mohammed V congratulated President Buhari for his leadership in the regional initiative against terrorism in the Lake Chad region and commended his efforts in the fight against corruption and his role as the African Union anti-corruption champion. The presidency has given clarification on the proposed National Water Resources Bill, saying there is no hidden agenda. You'll recall that the executive had sent the bill to the Senate seeking to centralize control of water resources in the hands of the federal government. Reacting on the matter, Senior Special Assistant to the President of the National Assembly Matters, Ita Enang, said one of the objectives of the bill is to ensure the nation's water resources are protected.
You will see in the schedule relating to the exclusive legislative list that the control of water and water courses running between more than one state is vested in the federal government and is vested in exclusive legislative list, which means that only the National Assembly can legislate on it. Now, I draw attention to the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency Establishment Act. Is a law that came into effect on 27th August 2010. It was made under the administration of President Jonathan, and it was conceived at the time that Dr. Abaruma was Minister of Water Resources and Agriculture, and I was a party to the making of this act. Therefore, the President Muhammadu Buhari, does not intend to create a law that was not there for the purpose of taking over the control of water courses and water resources and channels as against what the existing law is. He is simply consolidating existing laws into one body of laws.
Enang also said the bill provides for existing customary use of water and avoidance of harm to other water users.
The idea of not allowing states under the act as existing, the idea of not allowing states to have control of water courses which flow beyond in between one state and another is to ensure that one state does not dam or divert the course of water against or prejudicial to another state.
The bill was later referred to the Committee on Water Resources and Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters for further legislative input. Senate President Bukola Saraki has expressed gratitude to Nigerians for their support and encouragement towards the work of the 8th Senate since inaugurated 3 years ago. In a statement issued from Saudi Arabia, Saraki acknowledged that the achievements of the Senate would not have been possible without the support of Nigerians, who, he said, have played a more active role in the activities of the legislature since June 9, 2015. The Senate President also said in 3 short but eventful years, the Senate has come a long way and worked diligently to meet the demands of Nigerians and a changing economy that experienced a recession. And now, a non-governmental organization, NGO, Alliances for Africa, has urged the Senate to pass the Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill, which is currently pending before the upper legislative chamber. Executive Director of AFA, Ehuma Obibi, who made the call in Enugu, said the bill seeks equal participation and representation of women and men in all decision-making processes. Obibi, however, urged the federal government to emulate some African countries that had addressed the gender representation of women in political leadership by promoting gender equality in decision-making and legislative processes at the local and national levels. Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello has sworn in 3 new High Court judges who were recently appointed for the state to enhance quick dispensation of justice. The governor said the appointment of the judges will go a long way in bridging critical manpower gaps to the judiciary, as well as expanding her capacity to do quick and substantial justice. The appointment of the judges cut across the senatorial district, which was administered at the Government House in Lokoja, the state capital. The governor also said his administration will continue to give the needed support and conducive atmosphere for the judges to discharge their duties without fear or favor. And now, the former Commissioner for Justice and Attorney General in Ekiti State, Owoseni Ajayi, has defected to the All Progressives Congress (APC) ahead of the July 14 gubernatorial election in the state. Ajayi told journalists that he is quitting the People's Democratic Party (PDP) to join forces with APC candidate Coyote Fayemi to win the July 14 election. The former Attorney General, who maintained that the APC will win the forthcoming election, said he has weighed all the other aspirants and decided to pitch his tent with Coyote Fayemi. Ajayi, however, said that he is not joining the APC to beg for any political office. The All Progressives Congress (APC) candidate Coyote Fayemi has appointed a former member of the House of Representatives, Bamidele Opeyemi, as the Director General, DG of his campaign. Fayemi disclosed this during the inauguration of the campaign committees in Ado-Ekiti. He said Bamidele, who was recently shot during his campaign rally in Ekiti, is recovering fast and will be of help during his campaign. The former minister also debunked reports that the former lawmaker was flown abroad for further treatment. 2 persons have been killed and 4 others injured at a fresh bomb attack in Maiduguri, Borno State in the early hours of today. Public Relations Officer, PPRO, Borno State Police Command, Edet Okon, discussed this to journalists. Okon said a male suicide bomber detonated an IED strapped to his body in a shop along Baga Road by Maikori Junction in Maiduguri Metropolis. He said the command immediately deployed men of the Explosives Ordnance Department (EOD) to sanitize the scene and render the area safe. If you've just joined us, you're watching Superscreen's news at 8. Coming up in business, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo advocates economy diversification in Africa. Join us for details of this and more after this time out. Well, many thanks to staying with us. Welcome back from our break. And our Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has charged West African oil producers to look beyond oil riches by tapping into the wealth of the private sector. Osinbajo disclosed this while speaking at the Council of Ministers of African Petroleum Producers Organization, APO, organized by the Ministry of Petroleum Resources. The Vice President emphasized the importance of economic diversification and the need to invest in infrastructure and human capital.
To be critical to our revenue bases and our national economies, we must redouble our efforts to achieve the following. One, to diversify our economies away from the dangerous overdependence. And two, to ensure that we invest as much as is possible of today's current oil and gas revenues in the infrastructure and human capital that will underpin future economic growth and development. We must keep in mind that oil and gas are only guaranteed as today's resources and not necessarily tomorrow's. We cannot bet on the fact that even a few decades ago from now, these natural resources will not be as central or as relevant to the global economy as they are today.
In his reaction, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachiko, said for Africa to harness the potentials of oil and economic diversification, it must adopt an independent approach.
To act differently. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I have no doubt that, this extraordinary session of the Council of Ministers of African Petroleum Producers will facilitate increased cooperation amongst our member countries for the development and implementation of robust policies and solutions focused on maximizing the value in and the benefits of our oil and gas resources.
The only way growth will happen in this sector in the whole of Africa is an interdependence approach. All of us must be able to hold hands and find a way of supporting one another in terms of the research, in terms of internal investment potentials and capabilities, and help to drive a process. But more fundamental, we also must be in a position to have a lot of best learning from some of the 3 or 4 major producer countries that have been in this for quite a long time as the new ones are coming on board. So we're therefore having to juxtapose the rising profile of African oil production with the level of responsibility required for purpose of integration to enable us to achieve the objectives that we have.
The Minister of State for Petroleum, Ibe Kachiko, speaking there. Now, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI, has called for the review of the import duty and customs administration as part of the ongoing tax reform towards enhancing ease of doing businesses in Nigeria. Director General of LCCI, Muda Yusuf, disclosed this to journalists in Lagos. Yusuf said the import duty on many inputs for production and investment is high, making investment difficult across sectors. He also said high import duty has led to the escalation of smuggling activities and loss of customs revenue, leading to loss of thousands of maritime sector jobs to neighboring countries. The Nigeria Customs Service, NCS, has given its operatives the first batch of 20 out of the 50 Toyota Hilux vans that they have taken delivery of. The Deputy Controller General, DCG Aminu Dangaladima, discussed this to journalists at the Custom Headquarters in Abuja. Aminu said NCS appreciates the support of President Muhammadu Buhari and wished to state their determination to do all it takes to ensure the actualization of the federal government agricultural policy for national food sufficiency by crippling rice smuggling into the country. You'll recall that the Federal Executive Council, FEC, last Wednesday approved the contracts for the procurement of 68 new Toyota Hilux of vehicles for the Nigeria Customs Service. Still ahead on the news. Qatar government sues United Arab Emirates over claims of human rights violation. Details of these and more after this turnout.